This is the third generation Eljer Bedfordshire urinal, introduced in 1964. Yeah, you heard that right. This is a third generation Eljer Bedfordshire. Believe it or not, back in the early 1900s, they did have a first generation Eljer Bedfordshire, but it eventually got discontinued. And then for some time, it was kind of discontinued until circa 1948 when they brought it back for its second generation. And then around 1964, they brought this generation out. This thing had a very weird timeline. Around the mid-1990s, it would be discontinued, and replaced with the Eljer Murray Urinal, which is the side grade. And then around 2001 or 2, they brought it back. I don't know why they did that, and it would continue until 2008 when the original Eljer would be discontinued. This urinal has a very interesting hold strainer layout, but how does it compare to other bottom outlet washout urinals? Let's find out. Design-wise, it's kind of similar to the second generation and third generation Eljer urinals, but without the weird bottom. The hold strainer is kind of interesting. It's got a total of 6 holes down there, but you also have 2 on the top, I guess for overflow protection. Let's have a look at a flush. Pretty standard. But also notice how slow it is draining at the bottom. Very weird. Let's have a look at bulwarks now. Honestly, it seems mostly good except for these corners down here. You can definitely tell that some of the areas missed. Now it does have some rim jets on the front, as you may have saw. But as you can tell, the application could be a little bit better. There are some gaps still. But still, not too bad. Functionality-wise, this urinal is okay. It's a pretty simple bottom outlet washout urinal, but I think it might hold up a little bit better than most folks might expect. I don't know how practical these overflow holes are, but they can help out a little bit. I guess if anything, they can sometimes drain some of the water, as seen with the left example. But it might slightly help with overflow protection, but maybe not super practical. And I would like to note the bottom portion drains a little slowly. I don't know why that is. And that's the third generation Eljer Bedfordshire urinal, a pretty interesting bottom outlet washout urinal. Overall, it's a kind of plain and okay urinal, but it does have some very interesting quirks, like the very unique hold strainer. But overall, it's kind of simplistic if you think about it. But now, let's put the urinal to the grading scale. Let's grade it. The urinal design is kind of interesting, but the most interesting factor is definitely the hold strainer pattern. It's definitely quite unique. I give it a 6. The flush overall is kind of simplistic, with the only weird thing being the last hole draining so slowly, which is a bit weird, but overall it doesn't really ruin anything. I give it a 5. The bulwarks honestly is pretty good. The back rim is perfectly covered with the abundance of rim jets, and while there are front rim jets, the front rim could definitely use a little bit of work, but frankly it's definitely a lot better compared to some other washout urinals I've seen. I give it an 8. The functionality overall is okay. There really isn't anything too special outside the overall design, but it does function fairly well. I do find it kind of weird that the bottom hole drains the slowest, which is very weird. Thankfully the other holes drain relatively quick. And it even has slight overflow protection too, which is interesting. I give it a 6. Now let's talk about the overall value of this urinal. Overall, this urinal does have a very interesting design with its hold strainer pattern, but outside of that, it is kind of a basic urinal. It does function fine for what it is, and it does have some pretty good bulwarks, but outside of that, and the interesting design factors, it's a pretty simplistic urinal. I've definitely seen better, but I've definitely seen worse. Overall, this urinal is fairly basic, but it does have some interesting functionalities. That's why the value is a 6. The final score of the third generation Eljer Bedfordshire urinal is a 31 out of 50, which translates to a 62 out of 100. Outside the basic functionalities, this urinal is kind of interesting with its overall design. Outside that, this urinal is kind of basic and functions alright. Leave it to Eljer to make a simplistic design more interesting.